Perchance can Franz Krantz dance and prance around the killer to chance a glancing circumstance and advance a stance of survival? Hello and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and today I am taking a look at the 2018 self-reflective subgenre film You Might Be the Killer. This is a Shudder exclusive, and what I wound up taking away from this one is I loved it. It was a cheeky, gory, wild ride that's not so much a dissection of the genre, but more of a view of itself through the funhouse mirror. And to get into more details of this, let's get into the categories. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And the plot of this one, it shows its real spirit within the first minute of screen time. We get introduced to the Franz Krantz character of Sam as he is running through the woods, and then this title card shows up, and that really encapsulates the vibe of the film. He runs into a building and locks the door behind him, and you get the sense that he's being chased by something or someone, and then makes a phone call to his best friend, Chuck, played by Alyson Hannigan. And basically, it's your traditional summer camp counselors being slaughtered, gone amok slasher film, but we are entering into it in what would ordinarily be, roughly beginning of Act 3. That's our intro to this one. And instead of calling for the police, which he attempted to do, and it's an old man that lives 25 miles away, and he left him a voicemail. It's the middle of the night. So police help are not going to be showing up. So what do you do from there? Well, how about you call your horror movie loving friend, your slasher movie loving friend, and ask her what the rules are and how you survive from here. So the rest of the movie takes place within a phone conversation between Sam and Chuck, trying to deliver information back and forth as Sam remembers the circumstance that has happened prior, while also engaging in the present situational circumstances in front of him. And then more of the storyline gets revealed, and it really kind of goes back and forth with title cards showing at any given point within the viewer's timeline how many counselors have been killed, and that's your frame of reference for where you are in the timeline of the story. And I thought that was actually pretty brilliant, and every single time one of those title cards came up, I couldn't help but giggle at it. So this was really brilliantly put together, written. The fractured delivery method, I think it really kept things interesting right out of the gate. We didn't have to have the movie, or at least I didn't have to have the movie capture me. It did so right out of the gate. We entered into it in a state of frenzy and intrigue and mystery, and I loved it. And then, by going back and forth, it really kept delivering the information that we needed carefully, continuing the storyline, making its reveals, and I love the way that was put together. And I also love the way that it brought the slasher genre into the realm of reality by showing its absurdity, while also showing some real depth towards the end. So all told, I thought the writing of this one was absolutely brilliant. I gave it a 21 out of 25 for the written plot. The intent, I gave a 24 out of 25. The dry, tongue-in-cheek humor and the evaluation of the slasher subgenre, I really think it succeeded wildly, while also keeping the gore levels really, really high. I really have a feeling that's ultimately exactly what they were going for. This wasn't really trying to be scary as much as it was just kind of a self-aware slasher film, and it really pulled it together very well. The acting, I gave a 20 out of 25. Franz Krantz as Sam was the perfect choice for the leading role in this one. His vocal inflections and the dialogue delivery, it added such an adorable quality to it. You just couldn't help but root for him. And between that and Cabin in the Woods, he's on set to be crowned the king of the self-aware subgenre horror films. Whatever title that may be. So far, he's winning. And I really, both this and Cabin in the Woods, I really love the performances he gave. And it's not the same character. He's really doing something different each time. It would be very easy to kind of get stuck into the role that made him pop on the screen and just continue doing that. But he really didn't. He really delivered something different with Sam while also still staying very lovable. Alyson Hannigan also did a really, really great job as Chuck. She was just a blessing to this movie. Her character added a lot of the wry humor, while also allowing for visual breaks within the nighttime campsite storyline there. I mean, having a brightly lit store, it just kind of added some nice visual contrast, and her character added some nice contrast to, I mean, she's safe. She's playing things nicely, and, in the meantime, really horrendous stuff is happening on the other end of the phone there. And playing it straight was a really, really great move. This is a movie that the characters take the material seriously, and that was something that I really enjoyed. Was there wasn't a whole lot of time spent with Alyson Hannigan or Chuck not believing Sam. Sam called. He said, things have gone wrong. I'm out on vacation. Well, here's what's happened since then. And, Chuck is, okay, well, then you need to be running, and, you need to be thinking, well, what happened here? Was it an angry mother, whose son died in the campsite kind of thing? Just really taking it to the level of, let's continue the storyline and let's advance the plot here. And Alyson Hannigan played it straight. Now, this is something that I addressed fairly recently with the Christmas horror film Jack Frost 2, in contrast to Jack Frost 1. In the first one, the characters and the actors played the role seriously, which really highlighted the absurdity to it. And in the second one, the whole movie was a joke, and they were in on it. They were winking at the camera. There was just a whole lot of that kind of thing, and it really didn't work. And I talked for a fair bit about dichotomy. This is exactly what I mean by that. By having the characters invested in the world and treating it seriously, it lets the absurdity of the situation really shine through, and the joke doesn't get watered down. So I really, really enjoyed that wryness and that dryness, and the way that the actors presented everything. So 20 out of 25 for the acting. The technical, I gave a 20 out of 25 as well. The gore was great. It was over the top. Wonderfully over the top. By no means is this strictly a comedy. This is, I think, first and foremost a horror movie with just a great sense of humor about it. I would not show this to my friends that don't like horror. I have one friend in particular that just the gore within Game of Thrones is just almost too much for him. He sometimes has to kind of turn away. This is not a movie that I would ever show him. But at the same time, as a horror lover, as a gore lover, I really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, over the top and wonderful about it. The editing was also very, very good. From a technical standpoint, this was really, really tight. And by having the fractured storyline kind of bounce all over the place, this did a really great job of always keeping the audience in tune with where we are at within the timeline, which is really tricky to do from an editing standpoint. And having the continual title cards was not only a great addition to the joke, but it was also a fantastic way to keep us on board without allowing for a whole lot of lulls and a whole lot of confusion. If we're spending 2 minutes every time it makes a transition wondering, well, where are we at, then we are being broken out of the movie, and our investment becomes less and less and less. But the title cards really kept things going with that. It's like, well, okay, well, we know exactly where we're at, so we can continue our investment and continue enjoying it. And I really, really like that. So this is a really great example of how technical aptitude, even in post-production, can really contribute to the overall vibe and feel and prowess of a film. So that gives us a total of 85 out of 100 points. I really, really love this one. I had no expectations going into it. I really like Alyson Hannigan. I really like Fran Kranz. But other than that, I really just had no idea what this was really about, and it was a joyride. It was an absolute pleasure, and I wholeheartedly recommend this one. I am going to be recommending this to my friends in person. I recommend it to you out there in YouTube land. This is a Shudder exclusive and is absolutely worth the membership fee to watch it. So that should do it for my 2018 review of You Might Be the Killer. I really thank you for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.